mobster doing on a soap opera. I wasn't really aware of mobsters being involved in, soap opera. I thought it was more of kind of love stories, and I didn't realize that there was this kind of cool, I grew up as a fan of, mobster movies, whether it was Scarface or The Godfather. So for me, this role that I would be able to, play somewhat of a heavy and somewhat of an action-esque character who, dealt with the mafia was something very alluring to me. So when I read for Rob, I remember the only thing he said to me, and he told my agent, he's like, this role can be yours. You just have to know your lines. And that's like one of the biggest things. I don't even think just for soap operas. I think that goes across the board. I think that's the best thing an actor can do, just for his own peace of mind, is know your lines. And then I proceeded to test in New York, and I got the role and was hired and did 3 years and worked with Laura Bell Bundy, Lindsay McKeon, Paul Anthony Stewart. I remember grew very close to George Alvarez as well. The name, some other people, Kim Zimmer, who is one of the most amazing actresses I've ever met, soap or not. Just her spirit is amazing. Jerry Verdorn, I know he's on One Life to Live, and he's going back to the show. Such a sweetheart. Justin Dees, just great cast. And I've been very fortunate, very, very fortunate to just have very, very cool cast members to work with throughout the years on soaps. When you're in a studio working on a soap opera, it's unlike being in a trailer on a primetime set. Everybody is forced to interact with one another, whether they're running lines or whether they're in the makeup trailer. You're just in that space. And you're forced to work that much harder and to interact with each other because you want to know your lines so well, so there's that much rehearsal that goes in. So you become, whether you like it or not, you got to deal with other people, and I've been fortunate enough to deal with environments that became very much like a family environment. And I remember that, and as well as I felt that way on All My Children. I became very close to everybody in the 10 months that I was there, and I just know what a unique experience that is for a lot of people, because I talk to a lot of people and they're like, their work environment's not cool, not fun. They're either dealing with egos or people aren't being professional, and I'm very thankful for that, and I hope to have that in my next job, and I think I will, since I'm going back to All My Children. But
yeah, I think so too.
I'm just looking forward to that in terms of this job, because at the end of the day, it's hard enough to get the gig, and when you get it, it's it can be so great, and it can be so much fun, and there's no need for all that other BS that comes with it. It's really not necessary.
Yeah.
So
I love the people that stay down to earth like you are.
Yeah.
It makes it pleasurable for the people that you work with as well as us fans.
Absolutely, and I feel that way about John. Not so much Jeff Dockweiler. He's a bit of rubbed me a bit.
Got a bit of an attitude.
Last couple of months. Now we have to work on this thing, PAOS Revolution. But Jeff and I shared actually a dressing room, because I had been out of the mix for 7 years when I came back to All My Children. I was like, and the way that they worked on All My Children was double what we did on Guiding Light. We must have done on the average 1.5 shows a day, I would say, when you average it all out. And when they hired me, they pushed me in there, and they did not hold back. They were just like throwing scripts at me. And I made sure that I kept Jeff Dockweiler in my dressing room every day, just so I would know my lines, and that he would help me, and he would help me understand the scripts. And Jeff would read, I think, he would read every script and know everything that was going on with every character. So it's very, very helpful when you have someone like that on set who's there and helps you prepare it in a medium like soap operas.
Yeah, I got to tell you something, Drew. I'm going to jump in here. I have to, because I can't be quiet any longer. The whole thing, I'm guaranteed, Doc helps you with more than just knowing your lines, which is what drives me crazy. But when they brought me over to General Hospital, Mark Tester and Wendy Rich in particular, I really went over there with the idea that this is not where I want to be. I just come off a movie called The Interview with the Vampire. I was working some A-list movies, and the last thing I wanted to do, I thought, was, the day-to-day of daytime television. But down to earth, and Wendy Rich and Mark in particular, they just wanted to raise the standard of acting in daytime television. I think, quote-unquote, soap opera actors get a very bad rap, that, they're soap opera actors. No, there's some really, really talented, very intelligent actors in daytime television, and there's some really not-so-talented, not-so-intelligent actors in nighttime and film.
Right.
But to what we also do with PAOS is looking at them directly. But Wendy, I'll tell you, back in those days, she just wanted the best acting imaginable. And to have somebody that committed to it and walking on that set of General Hospital, looking at the people that have been there, some of them, some go back to Welcome Back, Kotter. And the set next to us was American Bandstand when I moved from Philadelphia. I mean, that crew was so heaped in tradition, not just General Hospital, which was, when I left, was over 40 years on the air. And Joe Behar, having directed the first episode, the pilot episode, and also directed the 10,000, these guys they interacted unbelievably. You were going to work every single day with people you wanted to go to work with. I mean, it was amazing. Talking about keeping your feet on both feet on the ground. Cast and crew, the way they interacted, it was just an amazing place to be for a long, long time. I just had to throw that in. Jordy, sorry to cut you off.
And I'll add to the love fest there. I mean, there's something to be said about the family. Jordy mentioned it. John mentioned it. When I came to LA 12 years ago, John was actually my acting coach to start, and then we became business partners and best friends, and have done a lot of stuff since then. But the place that I started learning a lot of what I know in this business was in the booth watching General Hospital shoot and watching the family atmosphere and the way everybody worked together and the way you had to band together. I mean, when you're talking about a show that what Jordy said about me knowing every script, to tell you what that is, that's about 500-600 pages a week.
Oh my gosh.
That you have to know, and we're shooting, John was upwards of like 150, 160, 170 in the last few days or last, few months of General Hospital that he was over there. We were averaging around 120, 130 pages, and the film shoots 2, maybe 3 pages a day. So you can't be a bad actor and pull that off, but the only way to know all that stuff, and I give Jordy a lot of credit for knowing I got to work at this every day. And the cool thing about the people that all my children is they all the way up to Susan Lucci, felt that way. I started off on that set working with 2 or 3, 4 actors, and within 3 months of being there, I was working with 31 of the 34 actors. And It wasn't because I went to them and said, hey, I want to work with you. It was them coming to me saying, hey, I want to be better.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to love about it. And then if you understand the circumstances within what they do, it's hard to be great. So good is amazing on that, given the amount of time you get to prepare and shoot. You get 1, 2 takes and you move on. And it takes a family atmosphere and it takes a group like that. And that's really what again, I go back to this a lot on this interview just because it's who we're talking about. But PAOS Revolution is built on that family atmosphere that we all miss, number one, and number two, that fan base that became a part of our family. And those are the people we want to give back to, and those are the people we want to make stuff for, and that's what we're here for, and that's why we're so excited about it.
Well, I have to say that that us fans regarded our soaps as our family, our extended family. So, we're beyond excited to have this PAOS Revolution and Prospect Park bring back All My Children in One Life to Live, because it's been a big hole in a lot of our lives when something is canceled. And anybody that watched, Another World or Guiding Light or any of the other ones that were canceled, I can't even imagine what they feel like. And I'm hoping that in the long run, was it Procter and Gamble for the CBS soaps? We'll take a look at what's going on and bring their soaps back as well.
Well, Procter and Gamble started soaps. They make soap. I remember on Guiding Light, it was the longest running TV show in history. And the reason that soap operas were created were to advertise for soap on radio. And it became this great model for advertisers to use stories as well as products. And I think whether I don't know what's happened with the network. I don't really understand what they're trying to do with reality television. But for me as a viewer, and the amount of hype of reality television out there, it's just not. There's just a lack of creativity, I feel, that's missing. And I think that... Go ahead.
Oh, definitely.
Pam, here's the thing, too. I mean, when I was first brought over to GH, I grew up with my mom, my grandmother, aunts, and primarily women that watched daytime television. And it came over, like Jordy said, the fan base were primarily women that worked in a home, and the product placement then, or the product advertising went out to them because they were the product users. One of the things that a producer friend of mine on General Hospital, and I thought was a very astute observation at the time, this is probably about 10 years ago, was we weren't moving where women have gone. And then it became, a man-oriented venue also with college, because it became a college thing. Girls and guys would sit down in their hubs or whatever, student unions, and watch daytime between classes. One of the things that bothered me was, and I think what brought us to the demise in a certain way of daytime was, they were outdated. They were a dinosaur. We weren't catering to a woman and whatever bleach she used. But this producer told me, why don't they understand or look to change the products that we are now being advertised to for those women that have stayed and have become very successful? The old thing used to be, by the time a woman was a certain age, she wasn't going to change the product that she purchased. But with women now becoming such a force, or having been such a force, and the amount of money that women now make to up the ante here a little bit and sophisticate it to that person that now has the ability to change. I think a lot of the times the advertisers weren't going to change was you were stuck in a certain socioeconomic area. But now that's not the case anymore. What women are capable of in terms of the spending power, I think they missed the boat in a lot of areas and need to address that, the sophistication and the socioeconomic rise. If that makes sense.
I couldn't agree more with that.
Well, good, because I'm sure my wife's listening to this, so I better get it right.
We're on the right page.
Because I, was never a stay-at-home mom. I stayed home during the day, and my husband worked during the day. I worked at night, and he stayed home at night, But even during the day, I would have, I have 4 kids. So who sits at home when you have 4 kids, especially if they're little or if they've got after-school activities or something like that? So I would always tape my soaps and watch them later.
You got it. My wife was an executive. My wife came out through the Bloomingdale's chain in New York. And she worked for Bloomingdale's for 10 years, moved into department manager, went into sales and into human resource, made the change to Bullock's, which was a sister under Federated Department Stores when we came to California, and then she became a vice president of a company, right here in Hollywood, and then eventually moved her way back to her own company, but then with our kids, my 2 kids, getting older, but she wanted to stay home with them. And, but like you just said, Bonnie used to tape everything. and then especially the Friday stuff, so you catch up on
right.
everything that was out there. So